Welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, as we come to you live from inside Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Advantage Center on our podcast studios. I'm Roger Hoover, now pleased to be joined by Alabama tight end Josh Cuevas, who we've seen emerge more and more for the Crimson Tide as this season's gone along. And first of all, Josh, we're just thrilled you're with us here in Tuscaloosa. Have you enjoyed your first season so far with Alabama?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. As I said, first podcast, so really excited, but definitely enjoying my time here at Alabama. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you. How have you seen this football team really grow since the time you got here to where we are now, nearing the midway point of the season?
Yeah, so, me comparing it to last year, I kind of like with the offense and stuff like that, kind of going into like this new team, I really wanted to like put myself into kind of get my foot in the door a little bit with introducing myself to the team and kind of getting comfortable with everybody. Like that was pretty much the easiest part. And once I got that going, you could really see like the team and how the dynamic works within the team and how we're going to play football together. And as soon as spring ball started and then we went to fall camp, it was just great seeing like the team dynamic grow and like us getting all the plays down and stuff like that, getting the play schemes down and just kind of really our confidence was really skyrocketing going into the season. And that development from when I first got here, and it's pretty amazing to see like myself like kind of put myself there in that position, and then like getting into that whole team dynamic. And then once you get into it, you can really see the team kind of go through the motions and like see how good we're gonna be. So, yeah.
Been a lot of good moments for the Crimson Tide so far this season. Obviously, the win against Georgia, you propelled to number one in the nation, and then tough loss the next week against Vanderbilt, but you bounced back with a victory against South Carolina this past week. Just what's been the mood of the locker room, kind of navigating the highs and lows that the season has brought?
Yeah, we kind of go into every game with a mindset of it's important. It's important not because of who we're playing. Like this upcoming game, Tennessee, it's not super important that we're playing Tennessee, but it's important because it's the next game. So we kind of go into that mentality, and we build off of that loss against Vanderbilt. Obviously, we're gonna bounce back like we did at South Carolina. We know that we're gonna go through adversity as a team. There is no championship team that hasn't been through adversity. So there are steps to this, and I think we understand that as a team and as a program. So based off of that, we're gonna build. So. Mm-hmm.
Who have been some of the really vocal leaders, whether everything's going well, things aren't going well? Who's really the loudest voice in that locker room?
So these past few weeks, Tim Smith has really kind of been on the team's radar for sure. He's always spoken up. He's always telling us what we want to hear or what we need to hear instead of what we want to hear. And that's been really good for us, honestly. And then Jalen Milroe, vocal leader, obviously look up to him a lot, as younger guys, and as the rest of the team, kind of see him as our leader a little bit. We have team like player only meetings, and those are kind of the guys that really speak up and tell us what the game plan is, what our mentality is going to be, and setting the stage for what's going to be on that Saturday.
You mentioned Jalen Milroe. What's it like to get to work with him? Obviously, in-game, we've seen how special he can be, some of the great throws he's made, in addition to being a great runner. But for you as a pass-catching option for him, how good is he as a quarterback?
I think he's great. Honestly, yeah. I think, obviously dual threat, crazy. I've never been with a quarterback that's been super dynamic like he has been. And, he's an even better person off the field. Honestly, that's really like kind of what I noticed when I first got here, because kind of being as a tight end, you kind of like stick with the tight ends and it's like, okay, let's do our job, do that. And then the QB will kind of like get to us when he gets to us. But Jalen Milroe, like he'll go out of his way to meet up with you. He'll say what's up, like anything like that. Like honestly, he's an even better person than he is a player, in my opinion. And that's what really sticks with me.
How important was the spring and the summer getting to work with him, whether it was at the training facility, away from it, just getting to know him better to make sure you're part of being on his same page for every game?
Well, it was super easy for me to kind of get incorporated with the game plan, just because Jalen Milroe, he sees anybody on the team as like helpful, and like you're gonna help the team in some way. So he's like, if there's any way that I can help you and propel you to be the player that you want to be, then I'm here for you. And that's kind of what made it easy for me to kind of get into the whole scheme of things, kind of get comfortable being at Alabama. He was a big step in that. So.
And that's led to a lot of success already this season for you wearing that Alabama jersey. But let's talk about your journey to Tuscaloosa. Where'd you, first of all, grow up?
I grew up in Los Angeles, California, live in Glendale now. I lived in Arizona for 7 years for a good minute with my grandparents. Love that. Love the heat over there. Gotta love it. Dry heat, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And when I got over here, it was humid. I mean, once I got here, I think I landed and it was like 99% humidity, and I was blown away. There's no way this is real. There's no way. But I've adjusted pretty quickly, but grew up in LA, kind of been in the city my entire life, grew up around that dynamic. But I'm excited to kind of explore a slower pace. But yeah, that's kind of like how my background is.
Were you keeping up with college football even back in those days?
Not really. Honestly, I was running around doing so many things. I was multi-sport athlete. It was easier to ask me what sport I didn't do, honestly. So I wasn't like super hyper focused on one sport at the time. I was really kind of everywhere playing club sports, school sports. I was kind of just running around doing everything. So I really had no time to really like sit down and watch what was going on.
Oh, what was going on was a lot of national championships here, and
Absolutely,
now you get to be
yeah.
part of this tradition. Yeah,
Absolutely.
What were the other sports you played?
I played baseball and basketball in high school, and I dipped my toes in water polo, a little bit of soccer, tennis, stuff like that, and it's pretty exotic. Field hockey, not a lot of people kind of see that about me, but it was in there. Volleyball, stuff like that, yeah.
Did you have some college options with some of those other sports?
Not really. So my high school football coach he was a UCLA alum, and he played football at UCLA. So he had a lot more connections than my baseball coach did. And so going that path, I kind of trusted the process with football, and I kind of put all my eggs into one basket there, and really was confident in my football coach and kind of like how he was going to project me to these college programs, and just went with football on that part right there.
So out of high school, what was the recruiting process like for you? You eventually signed with Cal Poly, but just walk us through your recruitment first of all there.
Yeah, so it was during COVID, as a lot of like people my year kind of went through. So junior year kind of got omitted a little bit with the whole season because of the shutdowns and stuff like that. And the cities were taking it pretty seriously because, I mean, they're pretty dense in population, so everybody's everywhere. And so we kind of went through that whole junior season not really knowing what was going to happen. And then senior season came, and we played a few games, but coaches really couldn't get out to see the games because we were still under protocol, wearing masks and stuff like that. So it was more digital, my recruiting process, sending in videos, running routes, having family members record me, like taking my height, my measurements, stuff like that, sending it off to coaches. I mean, some coaches, like it's hard to really gauge like height and speed and stuff on video. So coaches were kind of like, I don't know, I've never seen anybody like run that fast like in this video. And I mean, like I understand, but if you want to take a chance on me, go ahead and take a chance on me. You won't regret it. So it was just kind of like reassuring coaches that you're getting a workhorse, you're getting somebody who's gonna have high integrity, put their all into this program. And that was kind of like my recruiting process going into it. And I had one San Jose State offer and then one Cal Poly offer. So that was kind of like my recruiting process throughout high school.
You mentioned your junior year when games were not played because of the pandemic. I mean, what did you do to try and stay in football shape? Did you really pour yourself into the weight room? How did you stay engaged football-wise?
Yeah, for sure. I really leaned on my high school coach, just asking him questions like, hey, what does a typical tight end look like in college? And he could tell me right away. He's like, you need to gain weight, you need to do this and that. So yeah, we were going into school a little bit under protocol, but you'd see me walk around with a jar of peanut butter, just kind of scooping peanut butter and like eating it throughout the day, just trying to gain weight. I can tell you, I was tired of it. I was tired of it for sure. Got tired of it pretty quick, but it was something I was willing to do to get to the next level. And so once that senior season came, I was maybe like 245, ready to go into my freshman year of college. I had already committed to Cal Poly, so it was just more so really like asking my coach questions and stuff like that to see where I needed to be and to be successful at that next level.
What stands out to you about your time at Cal Poly?
Definitely the connections I made over there. I think going, especially freshman year and going to my sophomore year, there was a lot of connections that I could make with coaches and players alike, just because you're living in the dorms, you're kind of like with the same group of people all the time. And so you're with them 24/7. You get to know them a lot better. You get to know what they want to do and what their aspirations are in life. So getting to get those connections and stuff at the beginning of my college career is just absolutely insane, honestly, to me. So that's what I really took away from Cal Poly.
Really good foundation there, and I imagine a lot of the coaching you received there had to help you take your game to the next level with Washington.
For sure. I was an extremely raw athlete going into Cal Poly because I had never played tackle football up until freshman year of high school. And so I really had no idea what tackle football was like. I had played flag and stuff, but it's like flag football, you can't run up the middle, you can't do any of that. So it's like, okay, like heavy contact, it's like stop. We gotta take a break real quick, see if he's okay. Tackle football is completely different. So when I got to Cal Poly, it was a lot of development on my tight end coach's part and like him helping me out. And once I kind of got that freshman year out the way, just development and redshirting, sophomore year, I was ready to go out there and do my thing. So that was extremely helpful over there with that development.
And then next up, the University of Washington getting to play for this coaching staff. And now, of course, we have here at Alabama. What'd you like about these guys from the start?
So just the way they approached me when I was in the transfer portal, they kind of immediately had an interest in what I wanted to do outside of football as well. Because, I mean, they preach like they understand the football aspect, but they also understand that not everybody gets to the next level, you know? So they want you to have that backup plan. They want you to have something that kind of supports you and you have an interest in outside of football. So it keeps you going. It's like your why, stuff like that. And it kind of motivates you to keep going after football is done, because football is going to be done eventually. So they really want you to have that foundation now for football, but also that foundation afterward too. And that's really what I was looking for. So.
And a lot of us have now gotten to know Nick Sheridan as Alabama's offensive coordinator, but you got to play for him as your position coach. What was he like working day in, day out on the practice field, film room? How'd you enjoy getting to know him?
Oh, I loved it, honestly. Every day going to work for him, I mean, it was great. It was motivation. He's just full of energy. I heard him in my dreams. I heard him everywhere. It was just, yeah, it's like, do you love it? Do you love it? Do you love it? It's like, yeah, coach, I love it. Yesterday hasn't changed. Today hasn't changed. Like, tomorrow's probably going to be the same. I can tell you that right now. But he's just pouring into all his players 24/7. And, I mean, still playing for him is just amazing. Honestly, it was honestly a true blessing that I got to meet him and he approached me and he wanted interest in me. So, honestly, I'm very grateful for that.
A lot of great teammates you had at Washington, of course, but now they've made their way here as well with Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford. I mean, what was it like getting to know those guys and now getting to see them even with bigger opportunities here?
Yeah, so going into Washington, Parker was a freshman, so he was just getting there too. Jeremy was a transfer as well. So we were all kind of like in the same boat at Washington, really getting to know the team, seeing where we fit in, stuff like that. But kind of having that background and kind of like having that connection with each other. It's like, we're new here. Let's get going. Let's get to know each other a little bit more. And then kind of let's go succeed on this team. And then once they kind of transferred here, it was like, okay, yeah, we got something going now. We got a good foundation. But I'm so happy for them and all their success that they've been having on the field. Parker with his job, he's a beast over there. Jeremy with this great, amazing last game, putting up good numbers. So I'm so happy for those guys. But I mean, initially when we came in, that was kind of like the connection we had a little bit. And I mean, we're still building on it for sure.
Last year, a really special season for Washington. You win the final Pac-12 championship ever in football. You beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl, make it to the national championship game against Michigan. What were some of your favorite moments from this past year?
This past year, honestly, I love being in those championship games, being in those atmospheres. But I'd say my favorite game from last year was probably the USC game, playing in the Coliseum. Just growing up a USC fan, seeing games in that stadium, and it's just being in that stadium, finally playing, was just so surreal. I mean, I think I actually like shed some tears that day, just kind of running out of the locker room, just kind of going onto that field and like seeing the atmosphere around me, and it's like, wow, I'm really here. And that was probably the highlight of my year from this past year. But a lot of people say like Oregon, beating Oregon twice in the championship, getting to the national championship, beating Texas in the Sugar Bowl. But like football has more of like a sentimental value to me, and like that's kind of like how I saw it last year. Was really like we're here to do something special, but let me stop and take in my surroundings real quick and kind of take in what I never thought would ever be.
So we've had a lot of players join us this year on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, and I've been able to ask most of them about Coach Saban telling the team he was leaving, and then that first meeting with Coach DeBoer. But I haven't asked anybody this. What was it like a few days after you guys play for the national championship against Michigan? You start to maybe see some rumors online, then you get a meeting with Coach DeBoer telling you he's leaving Washington to come to Alabama. Just describe the emotion of that day.
Yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty, for sure. I mean, we had just played in the national championship. We're home. Like, emotions are still high just from what we had gone through this like 15-game season. So everybody's dead tired. Everybody's kind of like, we put in the work. We got as far as we did. We should be proud of what we did. And that was definitely what happened. But once like all the rumors were kind of circling that Coach DeBoer had a chance of leaving for Alabama, there was a lot of uncertainty on the team of like who's going to stay, who's going to come in to be the new head coach, stuff over there at Washington. So once DeBoer left, a few guys hop ship to go with him. And at that time, I had no idea, because I just recently transferred from Cal Poly, so I was like, I'm fresh at Washington. Like, what am I going to do? So I kind of waited it out a little bit, went home, took time for myself, kind of thought over what I was going to do, not only my football plan, but my academic plan as well, because, I mean, my parents preach to me all the time, like, get that degree first. So it's like, that's what I'm going to do. No matter where I go, I'm going to get that. But once people started hopping ship, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can take a chance here and see, because I had loved the coaching staff so much. And I knew DeBoer was going to take some coaches with him. And I was like, I don't know what this new coaching staff's going to be like. So I'm going to stick it out for a little bit. And then eventually the time came where I wanted to test the water of the transfer portal again. So I hopped in, waited a little bit, contacted multiple schools, Sheridan included. He wanted to see what I was working with and like what other schools were going on. But the timeline of like when school was starting here at Alabama and schools were starting in other schools was kind of overlapping a little bit and kind of not lining up to where it was giving me any time to like really figure out the transfer portal, because this is a semester school and Washington was a quarter school. So everything starts so much quicker over there. But once that kind of got going, I was like, you know what? Like, Coach Sheridan, do you really want me? I started asking like the really important questions. Where am I at? Like, do you really want me on this team? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I really want you. Like, we're pursuing you. If we could get you here right now, we would. So I was like, okay. So I kind of put all my eggs again in one basket, and I was like, you know what? We'll go for this. Like, I'll commit today if you need me to. And absolutely, we just went with it, and here I am. It all worked out. So
here you are again, just a few years removed from playing for Cal Poly. It's all of a sudden now you're playing in the game of the year in college football,
yeah.
Alabama against Georgia. Does anything like that hit you, just the whirlwind of how it's been the last couple of years?
Yeah, I kind of sit back all the time, and I'm just thinking, like, I was at Cal Poly not too long ago. I was really in high school not too long ago. I'm really sitting here playing for Alabama right now. One of the, if not the best college program in all of football. And it's just, people remind me of that every day. Like, be grateful for where you are, be where your feet are. Even these coaches, like, they know my process. They know where I've been. They know what I've been through. So it's like, you know what? You should be really grateful that you're here. And I am truly grateful. But I sit back all the time, talk with my parents all the time, talking about like, wow, can you believe like we've made it this far? It's insane. So
what have you liked most about Alabama? The campus, Tuscaloosa, just being around town?
Honestly, the people here are so much nicer, like so much nicer. They're easy to approach. It's great. Like you ask for directions. Since I'm new here, it's like, hey, do you know where this and that is? And it's like, yeah, man, just go over there. It's like right around the corner. It's like, oh, I would have never known. Thank you for asking me. But yeah, the people here are so much nicer. I kind of got that immediately when I was at the airport too. So I had lost my luggage. Funny story, and I was going to like the Delta kind of like front desk, like asking, "Hey, like how's it going?" And they're like, "You're not from here." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not from here. I'm from the opposite coast." Um, and they're like, "Well, how do you like it so far?" And I was like, "I mean, for right now, like the people at the airport are really nice, like this and that." And it's like I really haven't been here much, so um, but I asked, and they were like giving me lessons on like what to do. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Like stuff like that. So giving me good manners and stuff like that to kind of push me through, make me successful outside of football as well. So it's like, yeah, I really needed that.
That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah. So I mean, definitely the people here are so much nicer, and I love it.
You've talked a couple times about your path after football or plan after football. What's your focus kind of in school, and then what would you like to do following your football career?
Yeah, so right now I'm studying human environmental science with a minor in anthropology. And so human environmental science really kind of like the study of what people like why people do what they do. And it's pretty broad. There's many different paths you could go down. One of them being athletic training, which I kind of want to take my chances with that too as well and kind of like stay in the realm of sports after football just because sports revolves around, I mean, everything in my life. So I want to do that. Eventually, if I can, get into chiropractic, go to chiropractic school, do stuff like that, travel with teams, be a team chiropractor. That'd be sick. But yeah, definitely after that, that's definitely my track. So work into that every day.
We've got one of the best in the country, and Jeff Allen right here.
Absolutely. I love Jeff. Jeff is great. Yeah. Always asks us what to do, how we need to do it. He tells me what's wrong before it's even wrong. Like it's pretty
just
crazy.
knows, right?
He just knows. He just knows. And I mean, like our staff is just so great. I mean, taking care of us 24/7. Stuff that you really wouldn't see at Washington or even Cal Poly. So it's insane.
That's really good. And you're part of a really special room here at Alabama in the tight end position. C.J. Dupree, we've seen him make some great catches this year, blocking as well that he and Danny Lewis Jr. provide. I mean, you got to love the guys in that room with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. CJ, Robbie, kind of coming in here, like getting to know the tight ends a little bit more. Robbie and CJ really took me under the wing, and I mean even CJ, he was new last year, so he went through the same process as I did right now, and he told me what to do, like where to be, just be here on time, do stuff like that, be prompt, really showing me the ropes of Alabama, and I mean for that I was just extremely grateful for that, and then. I mean, kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the season, fall camp, stuff like that. We really got closer as a group, kind of seeing what our job was on the team and where we're going to fit on this offense. And I mean, I even helped a little bit with those guys, seeing like coming from Washington and bringing that offense over. I kind of knew like what the roots of that offense were, and I was just kind of explaining to them what our job was mainly going to be, and we were going to get touches this year. And we're going to play a big role in this offense of being successful. So it's shown this thus far this season. So
It really has, and it's led to a touchdown for you against Wisconsin. Walk us through that play.
yeah, so we put that play in, and we were just running it all week, and like even just kind of like pounding that play in the red zone, and it's like, wow, this play is really going to get called. Like we're going to be put in a position to really do something with this play. And right at the Wisconsin game, I knew our field position. I knew we were right there. I saw CJ come onto the field. I was like, oh my God, we're in solo. Like we're in our 12 personnel. And so here we go. We're like perfect spot. They call the play. And I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, this is it. Like we're going. Like this is it. It's go time. And I mean, just reverting back to my training, like we did this all week. We had no regret calling the play. We had full confidence in the play, and we just went out there and we executed it to perfection out there. I mean, they pretty much trusted the tight ends. They knew we were going to get the job done, and we just got it done. So, yeah.
Great moment for you. I know you love being involved as a pass catcher, but how much pride do you take in your blocking?
For sure. It's definitely something I need to get better at, for sure. I mean, I can attest to like working like every day to try and get better to that. I definitely feel as though like pass catching comes a little bit more fluid to me and stuff like that, but I'm striving to be more of a well-rounded tight end. So blocking is absolutely fundamental in that. And I know my coaches know and everybody on the team knows that us as tight ends, we have to block and we know we can block. It's just more of like a want to do it, you know? So in terms of pride and wanting to block, we absolutely have so much pride in blocking. We absolutely do. So
that's really good to see. Now Alabama, again, is hitting the road coming up this week to take on Tennessee. What do you want Alabama fans to see from this group, especially on offense coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much expect aggression. Like we'll really have our offense is pretty aggressive, I'd say. So kind of seeing more of that, building off of what we've already shown, just kind of getting that game started fast, winning that kind of middle eight of the football game, and then like finishing strong as well. So anytime we can score, we're gonna score, stuff like that. So we try and like take pride in all of our stat lines and kind of like reaching our team goals, our unit goals as an offense. So anything we can do to kind of like prepare ourselves to reach those goals throughout the week, we're going to do it. So, I mean, just hoping fans know that we're doing everything throughout the week to put ourselves in a successful spot. They should be confident in that. So,
we'll look forward to seeing the game at Neyland Stadium coming up on Saturday. Josh Cuevas, just thank you so much for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're thrilled you're wearing crimson now, and best of luck the rest of the way. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.